we'll start with just a general introduction to meditation. What is it? How does it work? Why does it work? Why should we even bother with it? All that fun stuff. And then we're going to do a short breathing meditation. It's short, right? This is something we can get into a little later, but sometimes we think we got to meditate for hours on end. No, we're going to do about a 5-minute breathing meditation. And then generally we talk about a topic. And I thought it'd be kind of cool today to switch it up a little bit and to do a little more time for Q&A. I always entertain questions, right? I encourage you to ask them. That's what this is all about. That's the beauty of the live stream. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to maybe just allow more time for that. And part of the reason is because I think that's really helpful for, even if you don't have a question, maybe somebody else does, and you're like, you know what, I was experiencing the same thing. I think this is a really important aspect of learning meditation, is hearing how other people are experiencing it and getting some of your questions answered, because everybody gravitates to different things in meditation and struggles with different things, right? Hey, Beverly. Daphne, you can't have enough of this class. Oh, that's great. It's great marketing for me. Thanks. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so, maybe you're new. You've never meditated before. And you're like, hey, I got a question. How do I meditate? Right? So before we do any of the Q&A stuff, we are going to just kind of get into a little bit about what is meditation and how do we go about doing it. All right. And like I said, Tashira, welcome back. Like I said, we're going to do an extended Q&A today, but feel free to ask questions at any time. Right? You don't have to wait for me to stop or something like that. Okay. So what is meditation? Right? So when we think about meditation, we think generally about, maybe you're sitting with your eyes closed and kind of leaving the world behind for a little bit, or zoning out. Relaxing is a big word that's used, right? All good things, right? But the way in which meditation relaxes you is something that I think isn't always taught, or maybe it's better to put it isn't always clear why, right? So I always like to kind of start introducing meditation in a way that hopefully will help you understand what's going on, right? That I'm being relaxed by meditating, right? So meditation is really a technique of training your mind. That's it. And what do you want to train your mind in? Well, you can meditate on anything. You can train your mind in anything. It is a learning tool. It is a technique of familiarization. That word, familiar or familiarization, is extremely important for meditation. In fact, they're basically synonymous, right? So think about something you're very familiar with. Right? Sometimes I like to use tying my shoe because it's kind of fun. Right? You're super familiar with tying your shoe at this point in your life, I would assume. You could do it pretty easily. Now, when you were a kid, not easy. In fact, maybe the most difficult problem you've ever been presented with the first time somebody said, hey, look at these 2 strings, make this beautiful bow out of them. What? But now, tying our shoe, we can do it with our eyes closed, or I don't know, upside down if we had to do that for some bizarre reason. And we could say that we are really familiar with tying our shoe to the point that it comes pretty easy to us, right? But when we were a kid, not so much. And what happened in between then and now? In between tying your shoe taking a lot of effort, thought, concentration, and now practice, right? Familiarization. We've become familiar. Our body is familiar. Our mind is familiar with the mechanics of tying our shoe. And as a result, tying our shoe starts to come more naturally to us. The same is true with everything you've ever learned, right? And the same is true with your mind. your emotions, thoughts, mind states, right? Which is generally kind of where we focus for meditation. Those are all products of familiarization, right? So let's think about something like anger. Do you have to try to get angry? No. Right? So generally, if something happens and we're upset, we're not like, hey, give me a second, I gotta get angry. You gotta really work it, gotta really try to get angry here. No, it just happens like this. Now, what about being patient, which is kind of the antithesis of anger? Now that takes some effort, right? We have to try. Sometimes we have to like physically remove ourselves from a situation in order to kind of relax a little bit and then really try to have some patience, right? And the reason that this is happening is not because you are an angry person, right? Or you are incapable of being patient. It's that your mind has had a lot more practice getting annoyed than being patient in situations that might generally annoy you, right? And so our mind takes over when one of these situations happens. And it's not our mind's fault. It's just a product of familiarization. Just like tying your shoe comes naturally, getting angry comes naturally because we've had a lot of practice at it, right? So meditation is a way of choosing what you want to be familiar with, right? And, generally we start by wanting to relax. So we could kind of view meditation maybe in a different way in terms of how it's relaxing us. Sometimes we think, oh, meditation equals relaxation. No. You are relaxed. You have a relaxed version of yourself. It exists inside of you. It reveals itself from time to time. We would like it to reveal itself all the time. We'll get there with a little practice, right? But meditation teaches you to become familiar with your relaxed self. It's not creating a relaxed self. You are relaxed, right? This is a very important point. Because you have everything you need to relax, to de-stress, to be calm, to think reasonably about problems, think clearly about things that are happening in your life. You have that ability all the time. It's just that we gotta become a little bit more familiar of tapping into that version of ourselves, right? Meditation trains us to become familiar with what we want to become familiar with. Cool. It's about choice. It's kind of a cool way of thinking about meditation. It gives us choice because right now our mind seems to be choosing for us, right? Hey, worry about that thing that's coming up tomorrow at work. We're like, no, I don't want to. And your mind's like, yeah, we are. We're doing that. We're just kind of along for the ride. So this technique is, in terms of what it can do, is pretty limitless. But it is important for us to start with learning how to chill a little bit, relax. More formally, this is called pacifying our mind. Right? We have all these busy thoughts that are pulling for our attention all day long, and it makes it hard for us to kind of settle into find this relaxed self. So the first thing we learn with meditation is how to pacify our mind a little bit. And then once our mind is pacified, well, we can do some cool stuff with it. That's kind of the methodology of meditation. An analogy I like to use is if you're looking at a very still lake or body of water or whatever. It's there's no wind, there's no current. It's just very still and calm. The reflection in this body of water is very clear. Now, if it starts to rain, what happens to that reflection? The ripples make it a little less clear, a little harder to see. But it's still there. Now, if it starts like a monsoon, heavy downpour of rain of Florida at 4 p.m., right? You might not be able to see the reflection at all, but it is still there, right? Just like your peaceful self. Your mind is like this still body of water. By default, very calm, very peaceful, very cool, collected, all those wonderful things. All of the stress, anxiety, distractions that are happening all day long, pulling our mind in this way, they're like these raindrops, and it's just obscuring peaceful you. So we have to become more adept at connecting with peaceful you, but it's always there. And I know I keep repeating that, but it's probably the most important aspect of meditation. Cool? So, if you want to get all fancy about it, what we're going to do is called single-pointed concentration. What do you think that means? Single-pointed concentration. We're concentrating on one thing. We are not multitasking, which, in terms of what our mind is very familiar with, our mind is so good at multitasking. It's multitasking all day long, right? All day long. Even when we think we're not, probably are. And so when we do single-pointed concentration, we instruct our mind to focus on one thing. Sometimes there's some resistance. Our mind's like, what are you doing? What the heck do you think you're doing? I don't want to do this, right? So we have to teach our mind to see some of the value in this, right? So we're going to focus so exclusively on one thing. We're going to focus so exclusively on our breath, breathing meditation, that all of the other things that our mind thinks about, and it's a lot of them, they're going to start to fade away a little bit, fade into the background. It's very, I think a good comp is being in the zone. As cliche as that sounds, during exercise, or if you're working on a project really diligently, right? You lose track of time. Maybe the noises in your home, you don't hear them. They're there, but it's sort of like they've faded a little bit, right? This is what we're going to start to train to do intentionally. We are going to intentionally focus on our breath in order to let all of the busyness in our mind fade a little bit, pacifying our mind. And as a result, we relax, we settle in. Cool? Okay. Let's do a breathing meditation now. Instructionally, pretty straightforward. It's comprised of three things, right? First, you're going to decide to focus exclusively on your breath, right? You can kind of tell yourself, I'm going to do this, right? And then whenever you notice that your attention drifts, it's no longer exclusively focused on breathing. We're just going to be like, okay, not right now to those thoughts, and we're going to bring our attention back. We'll get to those thoughts later, but right now we're meditating. We're kind of training our mind to do what we want to do, right? We're taking back ownership of our own thoughts. And that's it. That's the process. We choose to focus single-pointedly on our breath. We notice when our attention drifts, we bring it back as many times as necessary. Okay? Let's do it. And then after this, we'll kind of get into a little bit of a discussion about any questions you might have either with this or meditation in general. And I have some ones that are very common that I can kind of kickstart the conversation with. Sarah, great question. How do you not pass out when you focus on breathing? So like falling asleep, you mean? So this is very common. And you might experience this right now when we do it. You might get sleepy. And while meditation is an active thing, right? We're not sleeping really while doing it. If you get a little drowsy and nod off, it's not the worst thing. What's happening is your mind is given an opportunity to relax, and it's like, oh, it starts to shut off. Oh, getting lightheaded, not sleepy? Oh, I haven't really had that experience, to be honest. I would say that if you're getting lightheaded doing this, I would just make sure that you are breathing normally. And when I lead the meditation in a second, I'll mention some of this. But we're not like holding our breath. We're not like forcefully exhaling. We're just breathing. We're just being us, and we're just focusing on breathing. Andrea, thank you for subscribing. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Okay, let's do a short breathing meditation together. I'm going to guide us, so you don't have to worry about that. You just kind of follow along. Step 1, get comfy. All right. Are you sitting in a chair? Great. Are you sitting on the floor? Great. Are you laying down because you've had a long day? Also great. Doesn't matter. All right. The seating arrangement doesn't matter as long as you're relatively comfortable. You're good to go. Okay. And you can go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation just to kind of get everybody, whoa, hit my mic, just to get everybody acclimated with what meditation feels like. Okay. Whenever we start a meditation, first things first, just check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Right now, in this exact moment. Happy, sad, tired, energetic, excited. It doesn't matter what it is. We're not doing anything about it. We're just noticing. We are practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is a word we hear a lot. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts moment to moment so that you can respond skillfully. It's taking an interest in what your mind is up to. So just check in. Ask yourself, how am I doing right now? And having done that, you can now turn your full attention to your breath. Breathing in and out, very gently and very naturally. We do not need to forcefully exhale. We do not need to take big, deep in-breaths. Just breathing normally, in and out. As you begin to relax just a little bit into your chair or cushion, single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. Following the air for its entire journey into your nose and out. Single-pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. At some point, you may notice your attention drifts. Maybe you're starting to think about something that happened earlier in the day. Or maybe you're starting to think about something you have to do later after this class. Whenever you notice that this has happened, no big deal. We can just say, not right now, to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then guide your focus back to breathing. In and out, gently and naturally. Smooth breaths. Feeling the air in each moment. Totally interested, plugged in, captivated in this moment. This moment. This moment. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever you notice that it has drifted. This process of choosing to focus single-pointedly on your breath, noticing when your attention drifts, and being able to skillfully bring your focus back to breathing, that is meditation. You are meditating right now. You are a meditator. You are training your mind to be calm, to be relaxed, to access its naturally peaceful state. You're training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, you're focusing on breathing in and out, gently and naturally. So just for the next couple of moments, continue to breathe in and out, and just enjoy sitting here in this moment. Just you and your breath. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I just tried to drink my water with the cap closed. How'd that go? How we feeling? Any observations, experiences that anyone wants to share? Maybe this is your first time and you're like, hey, that was more difficult than I thought. Which is a very common thing. If you were like, man, my mind is all over the place, well, welcome, because it's all of our minds. It's a really interesting thing, and it's very common when new meditators will often say, it's almost like my mind's busier when I meditate. I thought my mind was supposed to be not busy when I meditate, right? And really what's happening is you're just kind of realizing how busy your mind is all day long. Your mind's doing that all day long. It's like darting from thing to thing. And so when we start this, right, maybe this is our first time, or if even, we've been doing it for like a month or whatnot, we might be like, man, it's like really tough, but this is, of course, it's tough, of course, because it's new. We're not familiar with it, right? There's that word, there's that connection. Our mind is not familiar with focusing on one thing. And so there's resistance. Our mind thinks that is a waste of time because our mind, for however many years we've been on this lovely earth, it's been doing the opposite. So our mind's like, hey, what the heck you think you're doing here? But I got a million things I want to think about. So we have to train our mind, sort of like it's a pet, right? Rachel, I really appreciate the not right now tip. I meant for you, so that was really lovely. Thank you. Oh, that means a lot to me. Thanks. Yeah. So that is I feel like that's a good. I like to use that phrase specifically because sometimes we think that these thoughts are like bad. Like I shouldn't be distracted, or my mind shouldn't be thinking about this or that. And that's not true, right? Your mind thinks. Thankfully, that's what it does. That means it's working properly, right? So not right now is implying that, hey, these thoughts are important. I will get to them later, right? But on my terms, right? This is the key component of meditation, is we are not we are not trying to have the absence of thought, but we are trying to dictate what our mind focuses on our terms, not on our mind's terms. Right? Daphne, say if I wanted to be positive about something, can I meditate on a mantra or an affirmation? So how do you do that? Great question. Last class, we talked about different ways we can meditate, right? When we start meditation, generally, we're always going to be doing breathing meditation, right? It's a very common entry point, and there's a lot of value for doing breathing meditation. One of them is that your breath is always with you. So, if you can become pretty good at using your breath as a relaxing focal point, damn, you can take that wherever you're going. But meditation is not breathing meditation, right? Breathing meditation is one type of meditation. All meditation is choosing to focus on something, noticing when your attention drifts, bringing your attention back. That's it. In this instance, the object of our meditation was our breath. We can have the object of our meditation be anything. So last class we talked about like brushing our teeth. We can turn brushing our teeth into a meditative practice, right? We can turn walking into a meditative practice if we're focusing single pointedly on it, bringing our attention back when it drifts. Meditation, we're training. Now, Daphne, mantras, affirmations, these are kind of things that are woven into meditation, right? They're kind of like connotations of meditation. It's a lot of what is a mantra? Right? Basically, what you're doing is you're saying something over and over, right? Now, when you're using a mantra, the mantra is your object of meditation. You're saying this thing, you're focusing on this phrase, this word, whatever it is, sound, it can be a sound, whatever. You're focusing on it single-pointedly. And then when your mind drifts, not right now, get to those later, focusing on this word, focusing on this phrase. It's the exact same process as what we just did, breathing meditation. So how do you do that? You just choose, right? I'm going to focus on this word, this affirmation, right? And then when I catch my mind drifting to something else, bringing it back. It's the exact same process. That's kind of the beauty of learning breathing meditation, or really any meditation, is it transfers into all things. The exact same methodology transfers into all things. Great. Pat, very relaxing. I'm glad you had a good experience. Daphne, I hope that was helpful. Hey guys, guess what? We've entered into the question and answer portion of today. Tracy, what is the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Tracy, excellent question. I feel more relaxed after a short breathing meditation than when I have been in the zone doing something. Wow, a lot of good stuff here. Okay, so first, mindfulness and meditation are different, and it is interesting because they've kind of melded a little bit, and we're not really sure what the difference is, right? Meditation is what we just did. You choose to focus on one thing. You notice when your attention drifts, you bring it back. That's meditation. You can meditate on your breath. You can meditate on walking. You can meditate on words, whatever, right? So that is meditation. That's the technique of meditation. Now, mindfulness is another technique. And the best way, first I will give what I believe is a good formal description of it, and then I will give you a analogy which will probably be way more helpful. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your thoughts for the purpose of being able to respond to them skillfully. And you're probably like, okay, whatever, that doesn't mean anything to me. And there's some merit to that. So think of it like this. You got a smoke alarm in your home or your apartment? I hope you do. It's important. Why is it important? What do smoke alarms do? Right? Now, when a smoke alarm goes off, what's that saying? Hey, hello? there's smoke in here, might be a fire, you might want to do something, right? Now, the smoke alarm is not stopping the fire, or it's not preventing it, but it is a detection system that gives you a chance to respond to a situation. In that case, like a fire, right? Mindfulness is like your internal smoke alarm, right? So think about anxiety, right? It's a big topic for meditation. A lot of people are here for that. That's how I started a long time ago, getting into meditation for that. We generally go from I'm okay to holy crap, I'm not okay, right? I'm super anxious, right? But there's a lot of stuff in between there. So generally with something like anxiety, I like to compare it to a fire, right? A fire, if you do not notice that there is a fire, it starts to spread and becomes harder to manage, right? But if you're, there's a little flame in front of you, you have a bucket of water in your hand, you just dump it on it, and that's the end of it, right? So mindfulness helps us detect our thoughts early so we can respond to them in a way that is skillful. Is that helpful? Hopefully that's helpful. And I do a whole class on mindfulness. It's probably one of them. I would say it's the most important first step towards starting to be able to use these techniques to kind of transform the way you're thinking. Because if you don't notice that things are happening, it's kind of hard to do anything about them, right? Mindfulness helps us notice. It's our internal smoke alarm. Tracy, I hope that was helpful. Oh, wait, you have another question. I forgot. I went too long on that one. Okay. You feel more relaxed after a short breathing meditation than when you've been in the zone. So part of this is intention, right? Sometimes when we're working on something at work or something like that, and we're kind of like in the zone, it's not really intentional. It just kind of happens. And that's why I use that analogy as a comparison to be like, oh, okay, I kind of understand what we're going for here, but they are different, right? And one huge factor is we're setting out to focus on one thing, right? We're setting out to focus on one thing, and we are kind of limiting some of the distractions, right? We're sitting here, we're just breathing in our chair. Sometimes when we're at work, there's a lot of things going on. People are like, hey, come over here. And it's like, I was working on my project, So we're setting ourselves up in a pretty good environment for being able to focus on one thing. But intention is a huge aspect of it. Really good questions, Tracy. Thanks. Sarah, can the object be now? Oh, I love it. We're getting real deep about it. Okay. Or is now the results of all meditation? Whoa, Sarah, write that down. So now, right, or in the moment, living in the present. We hear all this. We hear all these words. Meditation. The end result is that we are in the moment, right? So think about where your mind is normally, right? Generally, our mind is in the past or in the future. It's really not in the now very often or for very long. And so when we are meditating on our breath, right, as a result of being so single pointedly focused on our breath, we are kind of inadvertently in the present moment, right? We're just focusing on breathing in and out this breath, now that breath's gone, I'm doing this breath, right? So it's kind of both. Sarah, it's a really interesting question. I would say that when we're doing breathing meditation, now is kind of the result. And now is the result of all meditation, really. But we also can specifically meditate on now. And this is a little bit more of a nebulous style of meditation. Like, hey, I'm just going to kind of sit here and I'm just going to be, right? I'm just going to kind of feel my feet on the floor and feel my legs on the chair and, feel whatever, right? We're just kind of being. And that in and of itself is kind of a meditation on the now. Really good question. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Beverly, I did a 10-minute guided meditation earlier today, and the weirdest thing happened. At the end, I couldn't open my eyes, and it seemed as if I was in a dark place. What does this mean? Boy. So, like, physically unable to open your eyes? What I would kind of interpret this as is you probably were just very kind of settled into, I guess, the now, I guess, is a kind of an interesting way to think about it, right? All of the distractions that are normally coming, there's a sound. My foot itches, right? Oh, I have to do that thing later. Keith's talking a lot. Oh, his voice sounds strange. Like these are thoughts that are constantly popping up in our head, right? And when we are totally plugged into one thing, those things don't exist. They exist, but not, they're like kind of gone for us. And as a result, we can kind of feel like we're in this very like suspended still state, which might be what you're experiencing, right? Everyone has a different kind of experience when they're meditating, a different way they might describe what that kind of moment feels like. But I think the fact that you're noticing something is good, right? You're noticing your mind doing something by just breathing, right? Which is really quite good. That's really what we're after. Cool. Daphne. Okay, cool. I answered the question. Catching up. Janelle, being in the present moment. You were answering someone else's question before I did. Excellent, Janelle. Thank you very much. Toshiro, what other analogies do you use to describe meditation? I really like the analogy with the storm or the one about a bubble. There are a lot. If you come to these classes regularly, you'll hear me do a bunch of different analogies. And why do I do that? It's because everyone connects with something different, right? Sometimes we use let's think about the ocean, right? The ocean is a very good example of kind of ebbs and flows, ups and downs, kind of chaotic waves and very calm, right? But all of those waves, whether they're chaotic or not, they're water, right? They're all equally water, just like us. Our chaotic parts of our lives and our calm parts, our happiness, our sadness, it's all part of our life. It's all part of us, right? Now, you might be like, Keith, I love the ocean. That connects with me. I'm going to think about the ocean. And then somebody else might be like, oh my gosh, I don't like water at all. And so there's countless analogies. Big ones, for whatever reason, that seems to be used a lot. Ocean, sky, and clouds is a big one. That, like the storm one I told you. So I'll try to keep mixing it up. So maybe maybe you hear a couple new ones. Right? Cool. Daphne, when doing a mantra, does it help to have your eyes closed? Because when they're open, your thoughts are all over the place. Daphne, great question. And this doesn't just apply to mantra. Again, all a mantra is you're focusing single pointedly on a phrase instead of focusing single pointedly on your breath. That's it. There's no other change. But the question here is eyes open or eyes closed, right? So generally, meditation is taught with eyes closed. Why? For the exact reason that you stated. Because when our eyes are open, that's just an extra kind of sense. Our five senses, they're all working, they're working very efficiently all the time. And sight is one of them. And so when our eyes are open, sometimes, a little flick of light out of the corner of our eye. What was that? Right? Oh, wait, I'm supposed to be meditating. So closing your eyes can be very helpful for eliminating a set of distractions. Now, it is not necessary for you to close your eyes to meditate. In fact, a lot of people will do what they call like eyes half open. People don't usually meditate like this. You could, I don't know, do whatever you want. But generally, like if you have your eyes like kind of half closed, some people really like this because some people describe when they have their eyes closed, it feels busier, right? So if you maybe you're experiencing that, you can try this kind of like eyes half open thing. I have experimented with this, and sometimes I'll actually stare at a point on the floor or like stare at a point at the table with like my eyes half closed and just kind of zone in on that. But my eyes are basically open, right? Again, it doesn't matter. What I will say for questions like that, questions like, another one is, do I breathe out of my nose or my mouth? It really doesn't matter. You should experiment to find what feels most natural to you. Because the goal here is for you to learn that you can do this without like radically changing what you normally do. Like if you never breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, if you like always breathe in through your mouth and out through your mouth, then if I'm like, hey, breathe in through your nose and out through your nose, you're gonna be like, okay, I guess I'm like thinking about that. Oh, I wasn't doing it, right? But that doesn't matter. We're just focusing on breathing. It doesn't really matter how we're doing it. So think about, this is a good kind of exercise. Think about what is like a natural way for you to breathe, and just do that, right? Or don't even think about it. Just go for it, Same with eyes open, eyes closed. What feels the most natural to you? I'll go with that. Great question. Awesome. Anything else? Anyone else got questions? One I'm going to bring up while anyone else might be kind of thinking about what they want to ask is a very common one, and it is, how long do I need to do this? Meditate, right? This is a very common question. We're very concerned about this taking up a lot of our time, and rightfully so. We are very busy, right? So sometimes there's some misconception that we need to kind of retreat to a cave for hours or something to meditate. No, if that was the case, this would not be very useful because we don't have a lot of time to do that. I'm a meditation teacher, and most of my day is spent not meditating. Right? So in terms of how long, the thing that you have to figure out is what can you consistently commit to, right? Maybe that is 2 minutes in the morning. Cool. Maybe that's 30 seconds in the morning. Also cool. Maybe that's 10 seconds after work, or 10 seconds in your car before you go to work. Fine. It does not matter. The most important thing for seeing results with meditation is consistency. Why? Because that's how we become familiar with something, right? If we're trying to learn how to, ride a bike, we ride a bike for an hour for, once every 3 months. I don't know, it might not stick. But if we did it for, 5 minutes every day, it might start to stick after a little bit. Consistency. So this is a personal decision, and you need to be honest with yourself. I usually tell people, think about how long you think you could do this, and then cut it in half, because we're very ambitious, right? Cool. Sarah, I didn't get lightheaded this time because I didn't try to change my breathing. Boom. Even if I forgot to breathe for a while, I just let it be a big breath. No judgment. Okay, Sarah. So there you go. What's happening? And this is great. And not only am I happy that you had a good experience, but I'm really happy that you noticed this, right? So I have also kind of been, I've been meditating a very long time. It's probably been formally studying for like 15 years. And I've had a lot of different teachers, and sometimes the instruction is like, I don't want to do it because of the mic, but like, you're like forcefully breathing, or like huge breath, right? And I found that to be, I don't know. I didn't find that to be that helpful for me, because one of my big takeaways from meditation is that you have what you need to do this. You don't have to change anything about yourself. to do these things, right? And we shouldn't. And by focusing on how we're breathing, we are not focusing single pointedly on breathing, if that makes sense, right? We're focusing on how am I breathing instead of breathing. So exactly what you described, you're not trying to change your breath. And if you forget to breathe, who cares? Fine. That's how you normally breathe. Cool. And then you just let it go, right? You're just kind of moving on. That moment's gone, on to the next one. Amazing. Really good. Very good insight. And Sarah, I don't know if it was you who asked about mindfulness. Somebody did. That is mindfulness, right? You notice this. Your mind's like, hey, check that out. And then you're like, hey, check that out. Right? So that's kind of your mindfulness technique. It's a little alarm like, hey, notice how we didn't feel lightheaded this time. Cool. Is it better to breathe through the mouth or nose? It does not matter. Really, it doesn't. Generally speaking, traditional meditation is taught breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. I don't know why. That's just how it is. I mean, maybe that's how we're supposed to breathe. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But the goal of meditation is to focus single pointedly on something, right? And so if you're worried about trying to breathe a certain way, it's going to be very difficult for you to settle in with your breath. And so it really does not matter at all. One is not better than the other. And just do what you normally do is my advice, right? And do not think about it anymore than that, right? Cool. Yeah, really good question. That is a very common question, I think it's because a lot of times it's taught a certain way, but it's not necessary to be changing things like that. Cool. Hey, man, so let me ask you this. Maybe some of you guys are first timers, but this is a different kind of style. Do you like the kind of question answer forum? Because we can do this once in a while, maybe once a month, once every 2 months. I don't know. It's just something I thought would be kind of cool to experiment with. So if you liked it, maybe you found it helpful, we can kind of incorporate it into our usual topical meditation teachings. Just something to think about. Awesome. Any other questions? We're kind of getting close on time, and I do want to do another very short breathing meditation just to kind of get us back into the groove. Maybe it's getting late there. You want to go to bed. Deshira, you think it's pretty helpful? I do too. I really do. And I think it is. I think it is helpful to see some of the questions that other people have that maybe you hadn't thought of, and also the fact that other people have the exact same questions that you do, right? Cool. Sarah, much more useful than just a meditation debate. Oh, great. I'm glad. Interesting to have it happen occasionally. Cool. Yeah, this is what I'm kind of thinking. Not like an everyday thing, or an every week thing. Not everyday thing. That would be exhausting. Maybe once in a while we'll do this. Maybe it's like a cool little kind of recap. What have people been experiencing? All right. I like it. Very good. We'd like to hear more from you and keep the questions for the last 10 minutes or so. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think I'll just kind of keep this in my back pocket. Maybe we'll come back and do another like extended Q&A a little down the road. Cool. Too chatty. All right, Brenda, let's get back to meditation then. Brenda, if Brenda says it, then it's happening. Okay, cool. So let's do another short meditation together. All right. And this is going to be pretty similar to what we did last time. And I'm going to do a little bit of different stuff in there, but generally we're just going to kind of practice our breathing meditation, right? Cool. Okay. So settle in once again. Make sure your seat is comfy, as comfy as it possibly can be, I suppose. That's another common question. It doesn't matter where you're sitting. You don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor or something like that. It doesn't matter. So just sit comfortably and go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to do about another 5-minute guided meditation together, just to kind of relax and digest some of the awesome discussions that we've been having today. Okay. Once again, just very quickly check in. How are you feeling now? We're not comparing it to before. Before is done. Just now, how are you feeling now? We now know why we are doing this check-in. We're practicing mindfulness, an active awareness of our thoughts, so that we can respond to those thoughts skillfully. And having checked in, you can now turn your attention once again to your breath, breathing in and out gently, naturally. You're making a choice. You're choosing to focus on breathing in and out exclusively, following each moment of your breath. Following the air as it enters your nose, noticing how it sits, and then following it as it exits back into the atmosphere. Moment to moment awareness of breathing in and out gently, naturally. If you notice your attention drifting, no problem. That is what minds do. Minds think. And so when you catch your mind trying to think about something other than your breath, we can just say, not right now, to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. And then guide your focus back to breathing in and out, gently and naturally, as you begin to relax into your chair or cushion. Completely interested in each moment of your breath. This moment, this moment, this moment. Allow yourself to enjoy being here now as you breathe in and out. As you begin to really start to single-pointedly focus on your breath, you may notice some interesting things about breathing that you hadn't really thought about before. Maybe you're noticing how the air feels cool temperature-wise every time you breathe in. How interesting. That same air, it feels a bit warmer each time you breathe out. How interesting. Or maybe you're noticing how your body moves alongside your breath, your shoulders rising, falling, your chest expanding, contracting. Every aspect of you body and mind, an active participant in each moment of your breath. When you are single-pointedly focused on something, there's a hidden benefit. And that hidden benefit is you start to notice some subtleties about the activity, some subtle joys. Right now, you are learning to enjoy the subtleties of breathing in and out, gently, naturally. How wonderful. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Hi. Hopefully that was enjoyable to you. Very similar to what we did. One thing I did add in, which is kind of a cool thing to think about as you're doing some meditation on your own, is one of the hidden benefits of meditation, single point of concentration, whatever you want to call it, is noticing things at a deeper level, right? Sometimes we're walking down the street and our body's walking, but our mind is thinking about work, right? And so we miss all of the beauty of the walk, right? This is a really cool aspect and something to keep an eye out for when meditating. Interesting sensations, right? Interesting kind of things that are popping up. Cool. Janelle, thank you. I appreciate that. Daphne, yes, always looking forward to this class. You made it so interesting. Daphne, thank you. That means a lot to me. It's been awesome having you here. Pat, amazing having you here as always. I hope everyone had a good time. If you did, come back next week. Brenda, I promise to be less chatty. We'll do a topic next week. I got to think about what it is, but we'll do a topic. If you haven't subscribed, I noticed Andrea and Shane subscribed. Thank you. That's awesome. It means so much to me. It's a huge help to me. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, it would mean a lot to me if you did. It's one simple click, and you can unsubscribe at any time if I start to annoy you. And you get notifications whenever I'm going live. You have access to all my old videos. So if you're interested in checking out anxiety or something like that, and I haven't done it in a while, you can go check that out, right? And if you're pretty into meditation and you'd like to see if maybe you can kind of take your practice further, I do one-on-one instruction. That's the main kind of core aspect of my meditation business. And if that is interesting to you, just email me. I'll give you my email, and we'll find a time that's appropriate. I do it over Zoom. It's very chill. It's very relaxed, right? Look, Janelle is I work with Janelle one-on-one. It's fun. We have a good time. It's a really cool environment, and we can focus on something that's really pertinent to your life, right? Okay. You need my email. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com. Listen to my clicky keyboard as I type. That looks correct. Okay. Email me if you'd like to do a one-on-one. Email me if you have any questions that come up when you're meditating your own, or a question that I didn't get to. I tried to get to all of them. If something comes up, just reach out, right? I love chatting about this stuff. And a big thank you to everyone for being here. I know everyone has very busy days, very busy lives, and I love teaching meditation. I couldn't do that without you guys taking some time out of your day to be here to learn something new. So thank you, and have a wonderful week. I'll see you guys next Wednesday.